web application, web application, web applications, especially the important elements of web applications. So that is what we'll see today. What are the important elements of web applications? So the first and foremost element is web server. There are various elements which play a key role in the web application development. There are various elements which play a key role in the web application development. One such element is web server. So what is the role played by the web server? Yes, let's see. So far the applications which we have developed, Java applications which we have developed, in order to execute that web applications, what exactly is needed? Yes, in order to execute that web applications, what exactly is needed? JVM, right? So JVM was more than enough to execute the Java applications, so which we have developed so far. Okay. Yes. But from now on, JVM alone is not enough, I can say. So in order to execute or run the web applications, we need web server. Web server is a software, especially I'll talk about it from the developer's perspective. It's just a software which provides the platform for the web applications to execute. Web server provides the platform for the web applications to execute. You know, from now on, you'll find that the web applications which we develop, we have to deploy them or host them on the web server. We have to deploy them or host them on the web server. So web server, I can say that it provides the platform which is needed for the web applications. You'll find that in simple terms, I can say that your web applications, they run on top of web server. That means, don't we need a JVM from now on? Don't we need a JVM? Yes. So don't we need a JVM? What do you people think? Yes. JVM is very much essential. It is necessary. You'll find that still we'll be using Java to develop the web applications. As I told you people, in Java Enterprise Edition, we got the APIs like Servlet and JSP APIs, so which we use for the web application development. So you'll find that definitely we need the JVM as well. You'll find that your JVM, your web server itself will run on top of JVM. Your web server itself will run on top of JVM. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So so you'll find that In Java, to deploy the web applications which are developed using Java, we can use the server Tomcat. Tomcat is one of the servers. Examples of web servers are Tomcat. And you got application servers, they also act as web servers. Like we got Oracle WebLogic server. Oracle WebLogic server. And we got JBoss application server. So you'll find that application servers are also they also provide the support for web applications. We can deploy or host web applications on application servers. So you can think of them as web servers also. I can say that web server is a subset of application server. Always, a web server is subset of web application server, I can say. Later on, you'll come to know what is the difference between a web server and application server. Okay. Later on, you'll find the difference. As of now, only server which is a web server is which server? What did I say? Tomcat. Tomcat is web server, and all other servers are application servers. Yes. So you will find that generally we can use application servers to deploy not only web applications but enterprise applications. I can say we can host or deploy enterprise applications. Yeah. Fine. So next important element which plays a key role. Yes. Let's see. So you people are very much familiar with it. So how do we access a web application? I'll make you people answer this question. So next important element, let's see what is it. You should tell me. So how do we access a web application? Uh, okay, where you will type it? Uh, okay, you need World Wide Web or okay, fine. If you're not talking about the text www, okay, you mean to say World Wide Web. So what do you need? Browsers. Yes, that's right. So we need a browser, right? In order to access a web application, you need a browser. So you need a web browser. So we say web browser, or you can say web client. Okay, web browser or web client. You'll find that a web browser, it acts as an interface between the end users and the web application. Web client or web browser, it acts as an interface between the end user and the web client. Sorry, end user and the web application. You know, you might have done this many times. So whenever you want to access a web application, first of all, the first thing you'll open a browser and you'll type in the URL or address of that application which you want to access. So without using a browser, you will never access a web application. Hope you might have noticed it. You know, It greatly simplifies, or it provides it acts as an interface to easily access web applications. So web browser will take the request on behalf of the end users. Okay, it will take the request from the end users, I can say, and it will send it to the server, and the server will process that request and will send the response. Now the browser will take the response on behalf of the end users, and it will render the response which end users can understand. You see, the web applications here you'll find that they are based on client server architecture. So what is that client server architecture? Can you people tell me? Okay, master slave will be different again. Okay, yeah, but yes, I can say similar. Yeah, few features can be similar, but actually in master slave the concept will be different. Here you'll find that most of the processing it is done on the server side. So you will find that in on the server side processing will be done. Your applications they reside on the server. Web applications, the main application part, it resides on the server, and the clients, most of the times they act as an interface, just now as I told you people. So the processing, the client will, will place a request for any service, uh, on the server. So the applications which are hosted or which are executing on the server, they will take that request, and they will process them. So server will be taking the request. You know, in the client server architecture, you'll find that the application, main application is hosted on the server, and you can have n number of clients. N number of clients can place a request for the service. Okay, from the they can place the request for the service on the server, and server will take this request, and it will forward it to the applications which are residing on the server, which will in turn process the request. In master slave architecture, what happens, you will find that master will take the request from the clients, and it will delegate the task of processing the request to the clients, to the slaves. Slaves will be real workhorses out there, and master will be controlling all the slaves, and master will delegate the task. They will be executing the tasks. All the slaves will be executing the task. But here it is quite opposite, right? So clients will place a request, and server will take it, and it will process the request, and will simply return the results to the client. Yes. Okay. So web applications are based on client server architecture. Okay. Yes. So now examples of browsers. I guess I don't need to tell you people. So Internet Explorer, Microsoft Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox. The list is endless. There's so many server, web browsers or web clients. Next, HTTP. So what is HTTP? HTTP. I know you people will give the full form. I don't want full form, so I'll type it here. Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Yes. Now, what is the role played by HTTP? Why is it used? HTTP, okay. You mean to say it is a protocol? Yes, HTTP is a protocol, fine. So what role it plays here? How it is used in the web applications? What do you people think? Okay, some kind of standardization maybe. Yes, I do agree. You're right. You're right. It standardizes. But what? Okay, let me tell you people. Just now we were talking about clients and servers, right? So web applications are based on client server architecture. A client, can be any client. Internet Explorer just now we saw Chrome, or it can be Firefox. And not only that, again, you see the clients will be running on different platforms as well, right? So running on different platforms like Windows, Linux, Unix, Solaris. Okay, and when I talk about servers, server can be a Tomcat, or it can be WebLogic, or so on, running on again same thing, different platforms. So now you see a client which may be an Internet Explorer, or a Chrome, or a Firefox. It can place a request on the Tomcat server, WebLogic server, whatever it is. Now you see we got different types of clients, different types of servers. So there was a need to standardize the way the client and server interact with each other. So that is where this HTTP protocol was introduced. So HTTP protocol, now I can say that it is uh, used with both clients and servers to interact with each other. So whenever the client wants to place a request, so it constructs a HTTP request. Whenever the server wants to wants to send the response, whenever the server wants to send the response, server constructs HTTP response here. Server constructs HTTP response. So HTTP request and HTTP response. Yes. You know, this HTTP request is a standard format which is defined in the HTTP protocol. So always a client, if it wants to send the request to the server, then it will construct HTTP request. It constructs HTTP request. And whenever the server wants to send the response back to the client, whenever the server wants to send the response back to the client, server constructs HTTP response. Server constructs HTTP response. This way, the client and server always they follow the standard formats to interact with each other. Client uses that request format to construct a request and send it to the server. Whenever the server wants to send the response back to the client, so we'll follow that HTTP response format. We'll construct a response and sends it back to the client. Now you see, no matter it is which client or which server, all the clients and servers will follow the same protocol. So this way, the way the client and server interacts with each other is standardized. This way, the way the client and server interacts with each other is standardized. Okay. So later on, we'll see this formats as well, like the request format, how it looks like, the response format, how it looks like. So we'll go through them. So what we have discussed is like you got it regarding the HTTP protocol. Is it clear? Yeah. So any questions? Okay, good. Now let's move on. Next, we got HTML. So this also HTML and CSS. They both play a key role in the web application development. So what do people think? Why do we use this HTML and CSS? Yeah, you know, HTML and CSS. So they both are used to develop web pages. So we develop web pages. Yes, to create web pages, we use HTML and CSS. You see, the web pages, they play a key role in the web applications again, which are constructed using HTML and CSS. You will find that a client, the only part of the application which a client can see is web page, right? Yes. So hope you got this. You might have realized it. The only part of the web application which we see is web page. Oh, sorry. Yeah, right. CSS, cascading style sheets. Cascading style sheets. And HTML, hope you know the full form, hypertext markup language. So now here, they both are used to present to deal with presentation itself. I can say to create web pages which are used in turn by the end users to interact with the server. You see in the web pages, you'll have a lot of user interface components, UI components, so which are used by the client, which are used by the end users to interact with the server. So can you people name some UI components which we use to interact with the server? Yes. Yeah. Can you people name some UI components, user interface components, which we use to interact with the server? That means to place some request or something like that. user interface components. So you might have used lot of UI components, user interface button, user interface components. KB means no, not keyboard. I'm talking about UI components which we see on the web pages. So I'll tell you, UI components, user interface components. UI means like text fields, radio buttons, checkbox, submit buttons, a button I can say, buttons, hyperlinks, and so on. Drop down list. So what are they? These are all UI components, a user interface components which we use to interact with the server. Okay, yes, UI components. Am I right? So where you will find them in the web page. So we can create all such UI components. You see text fields, we use it to provide some input data, and we use radio buttons to select some options. And you got check boxes to link to check something, some value. So buttons. We use them to submit a form, submit some values, all such things, right? Yes. So all such things you can create them using HTML. So you can apply some styles to them using CSS. So these are all the things which you'll be using. Fine. So I have a question. So can we process or manipulate the data using HTML? Can we manipulate the data using HTML? Can we manipulate the data using HTML? No. Please remember, HTML, we can use HTML to present the data, but we cannot manipulate or process the data using HTML. We cannot manipulate or process the data using HTML. Okay. Yes. So next, we got JavaScript. We say client-side scripting languages. Client-side scripting languages. So what are client-side scripting languages? Can you people tell me? JavaScript. And Again, JavaScript is used. jQuery is a JavaScript library itself, and we got Ajax. It's also JavaScript itself, and we got AngularJS. It's also JavaScript. You know, we should never underestimate the power of JavaScript. So, without JavaScript, we cannot imagine web applications. Yes, it's also ocean JavaScript. Yes. So, what do you mean by client-side scripting language? What do you people think? Client-side scripting language means? Yes, client-side scripting language. So, client-side scripting language means client-side means which is used on the client side. Client side means on the browser in the web client we use it. Yes, and generally scripting language is the term which is used for those languages. Scripting language means it's a language. This language code, scripting language code, you will find that we can embed it in another language code. You'll find that scripting language code, you will find that we can embed it in another language code. Yes, like for suppose you'll find that JavaScript code we can embed it into HTML code. JavaScript code we can embed it into HTML. You know that? Yes. Okay. So why do we need a language on the client side? You see, purely this language, scripting languages, client side scripting languages, they execute on the client side, not on the server side. They won't execute on the server side. They execute only on the client side. Okay. So they execute on the client side itself. Like you will find that JavaScript, jQuery, Ajax, AngularJS. Actually, jQuery, Ajax, and AngularJS all are JavaScript itself. So by default, you have the support in the browsers. By default, you got the support for executing this JavaScript in the web browsers or web clients. Okay, we don't need to install any additional softwares for that. Yes. Next, the question is, why do we need them on the client side? So mainly, this client side scripting languages are used to validate the data on the client side. Client side validations, we say, used for client side validations, and to also and to make, to make web pages interactive. That means interactive. That means responding to the user actions. Okay, responding interactive, that means responding to the user actions which are performed on the web page. Sorry, on the web page. Yes. So this client side scripting language, it is mainly used in two different ways. For client side validations, client side scripting language is used for client side validations, and to make web pages interactive, which means making the web pages to respond, or application to respond to the user actions performed on the web page. What does that mean? User actions means, user actions on the web page means, yeah, user typing in some input, or clicking on a button, or clicking on a hyperlink, or selecting any fields, okay, selecting any image. So these are all the user actions. Okay, or moving the cursor across some components or some elements, or across some page, or sorry, across an image or something like that. So hope you people got it. So to respond to such actions, okay, so we can use this client side scripting language. Okay, so one last thing which is left over here, it is very important. So as a Java developer, we'll be dealing with it, dealing with it a lot. It will be dealing with it a lot. What is it? One key element, last key element. As a Java developer, we'll be working with it a lot, I can say. Yes, can you people tell me what is it? Yes, very good. I can say that's right. Server side components, you know, so far we were talking about client placing a request on the server. I said application will be processing it. But on in the application, which component is responsible for processing the requests? We say server side components, servlets, and JSPs. So if it is Java applications, with regard to the Java applications we use servlets and JSPs. These are the workhorses, I can say. Uh, they reside on the server. You see, they are part of the web application. They are the core components of your web applications. Okay, so on the server side, the client's request is processed by the servlets and JSPs itself. We use servlets and JSPs. So hope you people got it. Yes, we call them as server side components, and basically they are Java based. Now the server side components, they may change from application to application, programming language to programming language. If you use Java, so we use this servlets and JSPs. So if you use some other language, you may have different types of server side components. For example, I guess in .NET you use ASPs, active server pages and all, right? So it depends on the language again. Yep. So hope you people got it. Fine. So these are all the various elements which play a key role in the web applications. Web server, you see, once again, just let me brief it and then we'll move on. A web server which is used to host the applications. A web browser which is used by the end users to interact with the web applications. It acts as an interface between the end users and the web application. And we got HTTP, hypertext markup language, which is used by the clients and servers to communicate with each other. As I told you people, the client and server, uh, whenever they want to interact with each other, when a client wants to place a request on the server, so it constructs HTTP requests. And whenever the server wants to send the response back to the client, it constructs HTTP response. Yeah. So this way the client and server will interact with each other. Next, we got HTML, CSS. You see, HTML and CSS, they both are used for creating web pages. You'll find a lot of UI components in the web pages which we create using HTML and CSS to also style them or add some styles to them. We use CSS. Adding some styles to web pages, we do it using CSS. To create such UI components, we use HTML. So they both are used to create web pages. So that is the only part of the application which an end user can see and interact with the web application. Yes. Client side scripting language, just now as we have discussed. So this language which executes on the client side in the browser, and basically they're used for validations, client-side validations. See, validations means before sending the request to the server, before sending the request to the server, you'll find that the data, that information, that input data, so it will be validated. The browser on the browser side, on the client side, will see whether the data is which is provided by the end users is appropriate, whether it is valid input or not. And then if the data is in valid input, then we'll send it to the server. So writing such validation code and all. And as I told you people, to make web pages interactive also we use client-side scripting language. Yeah. Server-side scripting or server-side components means, again, as I told you people, they are the core components of your web applications. They play a key role in processing a web client's request. They play a key role in processing a web client's request here. That is what the server-side components do. They're part of the web applications. Yeah. Okay. Uh, just a minute, please. Just a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So now, if you want to work with this web applications, so you need a web server. That is what you understood now, right? So additional software which is needed for us is a web server. Here, from where you will download this server, I'll show you people. So we'll download it from the home page, Apache Tomcat. See, this is the site from where you can download this Tomcat server. So hope you people are able to hear me, right? So now you see, if you scroll down, you'll find that you got Tomcat 8 version, which you need to download. You'll find binary distributions. Under the binary distributions, you'll see this Windows Service Installer. So if you're working with Windows, you can just download this Windows Service Installer and install the Tomcat server. So it won't be that difficult. It will be all next itself. Okay. Yes, it won't be that difficult. And so if you're using some other platforms, is anyone using other operating systems other than Windows? Okay, so which operating system you're using, Deepak? Mac. So Mac, I guess you can go for tar. Tar works, right? Deployer. tar.gz. So you can try that. So I will try to add some documentations, installation documentations. If okay, you can just follow them. So this is the only thing which you need additionally. Next, here now I'm going to show you people the web application flow, web application structure. So far the Java applications which we developed, so there was no such need for following a structure. But when it comes to web applications, you have to follow a standard structure. And there is a standard structure, project structure, which you need to follow for the web applications here. Okay. So first, suppose let's say you got an application with the name sample web app. You got an application with the name sample web app. So you see that main folder will have that application name, and you will find that in that main folder you'll have in the main folder itself you'll have all this HTML, JSP, JavaScript, CSS files, and everything. Whatever is just a second, please. Yeah, I'm sorry. So all the static files, the HTML, JSPs, JavaScript files, CSS files will go into the main folder itself. Next, you see in the main folder, you'll have a folder with the name webinf, means web information. Webinf means web information. In that folder, you'll see subfolders called as classes. So in this classes folder, you'll add all your Java classes, all the bytecode related to the Java classes, all the dot class files. Of course, we are developing a Java-based web application, so we'll have Java classes, of course. So that Java classes, the bytecode related to that Java classes, the dot class files will go into this classes folder. Next, we got lib folder. So in the lib folder, you'll have all the libraries, third-party libraries which we use for the application other than standard Java libraries. So if you are using any other third-party libraries, you'll add them here to this lib folder. So far, did we use any such third-party libraries? Yes. So far. Did we use any third-party libraries in our application? Third-party libraries means the libraries or jars provided by third-party people, not from Java. The libraries which are provided by other than Java people, other than Java. Like yes, we did use it. Yes, what are they? JDBC drivers. JDBC drivers, they're third-party libraries which are provided by database vendors. They're not provided by Java, right? And they're not part of your API. So those libraries or jars, they're not part of your API. Yes. Next, you'll find web.xml file. So that means, I'm sorry, if you're using JDBC API here in the web applications, you'll add that JDBC driver to the lib folder itself. Okay. And you'll find that you'll be using a lot of third-party libraries. Soon we'll see frameworks like struts, JSF and all, where you'll come across them. Okay. Yes. Next, we got this web.xml file. Generally, this web.xml file is also called as a deployment descriptor. Deployment descriptor, so which is used to configure the application details. Web.xml file is also called as deployment descriptor. You know, I said we'll be developing servlets, right? So that servlets, we can configure the details about that servlets in the web.xml file. But nowadays, instead of using this XML file, we are using annotations as well. So, but you will find that we'll be using XML as well. Okay, so we'll see that. Fine. So these are all the things which you'll see in a web application. Okay, so if you're creating a web application, you'll find all these files in that web application. You'll find all these files in that web application. Yeah. So hope you people got it. Yes. So now, you might be thinking, are we supposed to create the structure manually? You don't need to do that. So we'll be using Eclipse IDE, right? It will definitely simplify the process for us. So it will help us to create that web application structure, and it also helps us to host this application on the server. So it will provide the support for both. Okay. Yeah. Fine. So any questions in this regard, please let me know. Okay, good. So hope this is clear for you people. So I'll do one thing. I'll stop it here today. So, but a note. Tomorrow we'll have 3 hours class. Definitely, 3 hours tomorrow. And this Saturday morning there is no class. But instead, I'll be taking it Saturday evening. Um, but I'll give it in Indian time. You can just make a note of it. So tomorrow we got a class at our regular time. So it will be for 3 hours. And instead of Saturday, so we'll have a class Saturday evening. We'll have a class on Sunday morning at 4:30 a.m. Indian time. I'll give you the time in Indian time. So for US people, I guess it is Saturday evening. Okay. Yes. I guess Deepak, you're in Australia, right? So it will be Sunday morning for you. Uh, yes. Sunday for me it is Sunday morning. For you people it is Saturday evening. It starts at 4:30 a.m. Indian time, and the duration of this class will be for 4 hours, definitely. Okay. Yes. So please make a note of it. So tomorrow we'll have a class for 3 hours. And again, the class will be on Sunday at 4:30 a.m. Indian time, which will be for 4 hours. Again, Monday we'll have a class at our regular time. Yes, as usual. All of you, please make a note of it. Tomorrow class is 3 hours. We'll start at our regular time. Tomorrow is Friday. Tomorrow Friday at same time. Friday at the rate 6:30 p.m. Indian time. Tomorrow class is at same time. Okay, for 3 hours. Meeting link is same. That it won't change. If at all, if it changes, I'll inform you people beforehand itself. It is going to be the same. 3 hours class tomorrow. Again, Saturday morning there won't be any class, but Sunday morning for me there is a class for 4 hours. Again, we'll continue on Monday at our regular time. Yes. So, if at all, if it is possible, I'll let you know Monday morning if I can take a class. Okay. Yes. Monday morning, if it is possible, I'll let you know. I may take a class on. I'll let you know. Yes. Okay. Fine. So that's all then. So I'll stop it here today. So let's meet tomorrow and continue our discussion. Thank you all. Bye bye.